This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 143 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. Today, I am speaking with Marye Audet-White, and we are going to be talking about the Google algorithm updates and how it affects you as a business owner. Now, if you may remember, you can go back into the archives. Marye was back here on episode 67. And in that time, we are now up to, as you heard, 143 episodes. Quite a bit has changed with the Google algorithm updates. So she is here to give you the updates, as well as she has a great freebie that you're going to want to make sure that you grab. So if you head over to the show notes, make sure that when you get a chance, you get that download. It is really going to help you be able to build your authority and have a chance to actually rank higher than you would have. And some of it is very easy, simple steps that you can take. So let's dive into this episode so you can hear exactly what it is that I'm talking about. All right, you guys, I am super excited. I am back with Marye Audet-White. Marye, how are you?
I'm good.
Very good. I am so excited to get to talk to you. I went back to look to see what episode it was that we originally had you on for. It was all the way back in episode 67.
It's been a long time.
And a lot has changed since then when it comes to SEO. So I'm super excited to really get to dive into this. And when it comes to Google, like what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. But before we get into it, can you just introduce yourself and your business so that everybody kind of, for those that don't know you, can be introduced to you, and those that don't can kind of get up to date with what you're doing? Okay.
Well, I'm Marye Audet-White. And I have a Southern food blog called Restless Chipotle. And during a mastermind with Jenny, I was encouraged to do some courses on SEO, which I did. So I also have Search Engine Seduction, MaryeAudet.com, and a mastermind, and Own It Darling membership group, and all of this stuff just to help women who are just absolutely too busy to deal with all of the tech speak to understand about SEO and all the stuff.
Yes. And I know in the past, we've always spoken about how for me, SEO took me such a long time. I ignored it for so long because it was exactly what you said. It was the tech speak. And you have a way of being able to take from out of the tech speak and just making it plain English so that we as moms and business owners can understand how to implement it into our content.
Yep. It's for a lot of women. And I think I say women, but I think it's especially women because we have so much going on all at the same time and our brains don't translate well. So when we listen to all that technical stuff, it tends to be like Charlie Brown and the teachers, wah, 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 wah. You know, it turns off after a while.
Oh my goodness, I totally agree. So there have been, I feel like, a couple of different changes over the past year. There was one, I want to say last spring, that there with Google. And then there was another one, even I feel like this summer. I feel like there's been a couple
like a couple of hundred. Yeah. Because Google is always changing.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's big changes, sometimes it's little.
Voice or set up voice match. Open the Google Home app and
Google, enough, stop.
Tap.
Oh my God.
Then
okay, the best part about that, no. I want to actually keep that in there as part of the audio because that's actually what we're going to talk about is the fact that with voice recognition now, it changes search.
It changes everything. It changes everything. How funny is that?
That's perfect, though.
I have all of these different machines that talk to me if I say the wrong thing when I'm on the computer. So if they all interrupt, we'll just be having a party here with, ALEXASIRA and GOOGLE.
I love it. Oh my goodness. So could we start with voice recognition and how that's kind of impacting search?
So right now, you have to pay Amazon to put your blog on Alexa for voice search. So there is that. But with the big G, it's still kind of in the beginning stages, and we're not sure how it's all going to work. But we do know that you have to have a site that is set up for artificial intelligence readers, which means that the alt tags on your images need to be actual alt tags. They need to say chocolate layer cake on a white plate with title text overlay. But at the same time, you don't want to have 5 pictures of, chocolate cake on a white plate facing the left, chocolate cake on a white plate with a fork facing forward. You don't want to have that. You want to have one hero shot, and you want to have like a feature image, and then the rest you want to have process shots. I've been talking to a lot of Canadians and people like that. I almost said process shots. And and you want to have the explanation of those shots in your alt tags. So you would have cracking an egg in a bowl. And then you might have whisking an egg and milk to make it frothy. You would be explaining each process shot, which means that you kind of want to keep all of those extra fancy shots out of your blog. And what I've been suggesting people do is that, because we're really proud of our images when they come out. I'm like so proud of my images when I get something good. It's like, yes. But what I've been suggesting people do is take those great images and make pins with them. So if you've got 12 great images, keep them in a folder for Pinterest, and you can release one new pin a month, and Pinterest is happy and your blog is happy and everybody's happy. If you really, really want to do all of those fancy images of the same thing in your blog post, then you need to leave the alt tag blank, because it gets very confusing for somebody who's not able to see and they're listening and they're hearing chocolate layer cake on a white plate with title text overlay, chocolate cake on a white plate with a silver fork, it's just so redundant. So keep that in mind. And all of those things are going to go into what Google is going to consider high quality content for AI.
Okay. I love that. And that would work whether you're a food blogger or whether you're a DIY home decor blogger.
I tend to say food blogger because most of the people I work with are food bloggers, and I'm a food blogger, but it wouldn't matter what it was.
Yes. No, absolutely. And I love the way that you said that, if you have that hero image and you're just going to reuse it for Pinterest, that's great. But if you're going to want it in your actual content, to leave the alt text blank if it has nothing to do with the content. Mm-hmm. I actually have been dealing that with myself with this on the side of the Jenny Melrose side of doing the podcast hero image. It doesn't have anything necessarily to do with the topic that I'm talking about. So it makes sense to put in that pinnable image description, but it doesn't make sense to put in an alt text when it's got a girl on a mountain with her arms wide open and I'm talking about travel influencers.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, good. All right. So I love the fact that we're starting to talk about and think about how it's going to influence AI. What are some of the other most recent changes that are affecting search engine right now?
Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just thinking of starting a podcast, you need to listen to Buzzcast from the folks at Buzzsprout. Here we go! Buzzcast covers everything a podcaster should know, from marketing strategies and how to make money from your podcast to the latest and greatest tech and industry insights to keep you on the cutting edge. Follow Buzzcast by clicking the link in the description or go to buzzcast.buzzsprout.com and keep podcasting.
There's where to start. One of the changes is Google has a new thing called Discover. And if you put in a search, then there's several things that'll come up. The way that they're showing results are different. Like on the top, there's usually videos or images, and then maybe search results. And then there's a little box called Discover. You want to get in those boxes because the more of those boxes you're in, the more chance you have of having people see you and clicking. In fact, in your analytics, there's an area now that says Discover, and that tells you how many clicks you've gotten through to your site from the Discover box, if you've been in there at all. So there's that. In order to get in the Discover box, it's all going to break down to high quality and what Google considers high quality content with best user experience. But one of the things that I just read this morning is that for those Discover boxes, Google wants a 1200 wide PX image. And I don't know very many people that use that size image. So I will get back to you about that because literally I just read it this morning and I'm not sure how that would work, whether you'd want to use it as a hidden, anyway, I will get back to you so you can tell your people how that works. But so there's the Discover box. Everything boils down to best user experience, high quality content, and you've probably been hearing a lot about E.A.T, expertise, authority, and trust. And really, that's going to be the battle cry of bloggers for, forever, as far as I know. It's Google really doesn't hate you. Google wants to give their readers the very best experience they can because Google wants to make money. And Google makes money when people use their product. So
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that yet.
I'm going to just say big G. So if you get on board with the big G and helping them make a good income because people are finding what they want at your blog, then they in turn are going to lift you up more. You're going to rank higher, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all about that quality and expertise, authority, and trust. So let's talk about building that before we go any further, because if you don't have that, nothing else is going to matter. And actually, I have a doc that I'm going to give to you that you can give to your readers that is just kind of like a cheat sheet of E.A.T, an E.A.T cheat sheet.
Perfect. We'll make sure to link to that in the show notes so that people can make sure to hop over and grab that freebie for sure.
Okay, yeah. So the first thing is E is for expertise. And expertise is about the credentials that you have as an author. So do you have a degree? Do you have relevant experience? Do you have work experience? Some of y'all, like for a parenting blogger, it's a little different because you don't have to have a degree in parenting or childcare or anything like that because you are your own expert because you're sharing things from your life. So just because you don't have a degree and maybe your blog is new and you've never worked in childcare and you want to be a parenting blogger, that doesn't mean that Google's not going to see you having that expertise. What it means is you're an expert in yourself. So you're sharing your own anecdotes, you're sharing your own experiences from your life, and that shows expertise. But if you also have a degree, that's great. Make sure that's in your bio. If you have relevant experience, make sure that's in your bio. And if you have work experience, make sure that's in your bio. Make sure you have a LinkedIn because that's a bio. It's another link that has your name on it. And make sure that your bio is showing on all of your posts because that is just how you want to do it. You can link to your about page. You can have on most of the themes, there's a place where you can make sure that your bio shows in the bottom. And
that's so smart. And I didn't realize that was a piece of your expertise because as a former lifestyle blogger, where on the Melrose family, I dealt with some parenting things, but I also did some education stuff and being a former reading specialist, like that would have been something that would have definitely, I would have wanted in there.
Absolutely.
others that maybe have run a restaurant or went to Cordon Bleu for training, including that in the bio, that's such an easy way to do it and show that expertise.
Even if you took home ec in high school, I don't even know if they still do home ec, but if you took home ec in high school, I had 8 kids. I cooked for 8 kids. Believe me, that's expertise. So whatever it is, make sure whatever you can think of to show expertise, make sure it's in there. If you're a homeschool mom and you've homeschooled for 10 years, then you have an expertise in homeschooling. If you belong to a homeschool group, then, list that. Everything that you can think of. You don't want a biography that's 40 pages long. So you're going to have just a short bio and link to your about page. And your about page should have all of this stuff in it. Plus your LinkedIn should have all of this stuff in it. So that's where your expertise is going to come from. Your site's expertise is about where you've been quoted, where the site has been mentioned, the incoming links from bigger sites, sponsors that you've worked with. Because let me tell you, if Tillamook Cheese works with you, they are saying that you're an expert, and Google sees them as an expert. So you are an expert by association. So it's really that simple. Authority for the author is how high quality is your content? How is your grammar? Does it read smoothly? Does it read well? Are you giving factual information? Are you sounding like the National Enquirer, or are you sounding like, I don't even know what an authoritative news outlet is anymore. I don't trust any of them. But anyway, are you being factual? So for your site, it's going to be reviews of your site, what people say about your site. And you can kind of bump this up by linking to .edu sites and .gov sites. And so the way that I tell my students to find information at those sites that goes along with what they're writing is you put in .gov or .edu in the search bar, and then a colon, and then your subject. And everything that comes up will be from the educational sites and government sites first. And if you can find, like when I do a baked good recipe, then I have a reusable block in my Gutenberg that links to the University of Utah and high altitude baking, because that's necessary for a reader that's, in a higher altitude. And that gives credibility to what I'm saying.
Okay.
So there's that. Then the next thing and the last thing is trustworthiness. And for you, that's what's your reputation around the web. Google knows your name. Okay. Don't say it. Good. Okay. Google knows your name, and I said it once too many times. And so there doesn't need to be a link back to your blog or a link back to your bio for them to find you and associate you with your blog. The name is familiar enough. So you want to do, and I'll tell you how to do that in just a minute, but you want to keep doing searches for your name. You want to do searches for your blog name and make sure that everything that's said about you is positive and strong, because a couple of bad things can really pull that trustworthiness down.
Okay.
And places that you've been quoted also builds trustworthiness. I was recently quoted on a big site over something that I think it was like a slow cooker thing. And it really made a difference. It kind of upped my trustworthiness because the site said that I was an expert. And I was quoted in between like Hugh Atchison, who's a big chef, and Lisa Fain, who has Homesick Texan, who's also really big. I was really excited to be like right in between those two. So there's that. And then for your site, make sure it's HTTPS, of course. Make sure that you have an about page with where you are. You don't have to say, you don't have to give your street address, but I always say, well, I'm just south of Dallas. And make sure that it's obvious that you're a real person. And then, and make sure that you've got an easy to find email there. And then they want to look at, is it updated regularly? So those are the things that prove E.A.T. And I just want to
go back. I'm sorry. Can we go really back to authority? Because I was thinking of something when you were talking about it, as far as you said something about reviews. So getting reviews as far as like recipe reviews or reviews on Google, as far as like if you do any sort of consulting or if you're a nutritionist, those kinds of things.
Testimonials.
Perfect. And what about like Facebook reviews for Facebook pages or a LinkedIn, whatchamacallit? It's called something, not an accomplishment, but an act. I don't know what the right word is.
Somebody says that, yes, this person is good at that. Yep.
Yes.
All of that works together. All of it works together. So yes. And if you have a food blog, those little stars, those star rankings, they mean a lot. Now, I have heard several bloggers say that they give their own ratings. And as far as I know, there's nothing against Google TOS in doing that. But I don't think it's smart because Google doesn't like anything that they think is trying to play the system. And to me, giving yourself a 5-star review for your own recipe is playing the system. Having a friend give you a 5-star review for a recipe is playing the system. I always just put, if you love this recipe, please give it 5 stars. And I've had good luck with that. I just don't think it's smart to play the system or, go anywhere near that, because eventually there's going to be some kind of algorithm where Google figures it out and it's just going to bite you in the butt.
Of course. No, that totally makes sense to me. So talk to me about then Apple products. Let's say, for example, I don't know if this even will work or if you know the answer. Let's say my podcasters, for example, they have a podcast on Apple and they get reviews over there. Is Google able probably to track that too, right? Because you're getting Apple. So that would go for apps as well.
If it's on the web, if it's anywhere, then they can find it.
Okay. Love it.
We have no privacy anymore.
Right.
We don't.
Well, yeah.
One of the questions that I have seen a lot lately, and this is in food blogger groups, has been, I got an email from this publishing company, and it's usually Callisto, and they want me to do a cookbook. Should I do it? And a lot of people come back and they say, and honestly, I've just full disclosure, I've done like 8 books for them, and only one has my name on it. But anyway, back to the subject. And the question is always, should I do it? And other people come in with various things, but it's like, well, you only have 5 weeks. You don't get paid that much, blah, 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 blah. And that's all very true. But I want to tell you one thing to think about. Being an author, being a published author with your name on a book or several books proves so much expertise. It's so good for you. So if you get a chance to do a book and you have the time to do it, then it's a good idea to do it, because then you also get, like, I have an author page on Barnes & Noble. I have an author page on Amazon. I have an author page on some weird New Zealand bookstore. I mean, I have author pages everywhere, and it's really made a big difference for me. And I really think that anything that you can do like that shows that somebody thinks you're an expert is the thing that you want to do, whether it's working for a magazine or, doing Yelp reviews and having people follow you there, or whatever you can do it.
I love that. I think so. Speaking would go to that too. If you speak at a conference, if you're a nutritionist and you're speaking on a specific topic, like any of that just adds to your overall expertise. And I love the fact that you touched on a book, because of course I'm in the middle of writing mine and it's an endeavor, but to me, I want to get that message out to my people. It's about getting it out to my audience. And I know I have something that I really want to share with them. And the fact that it does give authority is just an added bonus.
Yep. And it doesn't matter whether you self-publish or it's done by a publisher. It doesn't really matter. It's just, there's a book out there with your name on it. And that's just, unless it gets terrible reviews because it's low quality, which yours won't. I mean, don't just scribble something off and put it up on Kindle, but it's a good thing to do. Very good thing to do.
Awesome. Perfect. So I have one last question that I definitely want to ask you, because I know my people are expecting me to ask about no follow. Because I noticed that there was a recent rumblings about they're switching that coding up in the back. So what I'm talking about is when you do a sponsored post, links are supposed to be no followed. What has changed and what do we need to do moving forward?
Okay, this is so easy. Unless you always do no follow with a plugin, then it's not quite so easy because plugins haven't caught up yet. So instead of writing no follow on a sponsored post, where it's going to be rel, REL equals quotation mark, no follow, quotation mark. Instead of doing that, you're going to write, where it says no follow, you're going to write sponsored. That's it. That's the only difference. And here's part of the reason why. Several years ago, WordPress came out with a thing where they were adding no referrer to that whole code. And Amazon didn't like it because they want to know where people are coming from, and it's against Amazon TOS to have no referrer. So it was a problem. Amazon has overlooked it all of these years. They're like, we know you guys don't have any control over it, so it's no problem. Don't worry about it. But so when the big G did that, it took out that problem because it no longer says no referrer, or it shouldn't. And this is what I have heard. Now, if this is not 100% true, I heard it wrong. But as far as I know, doing sponsored pulls out the no referrer part. And you always put sponsored in where you would normally put no follow. If you don't do it, or if you haven't done it, it's not a problem. They're not going to gig you on that at this point in time. And you don't have to go back and fix all of your stuff.
Okay.
But going forward, it's a good idea to do because they said that they were going to look at no follow as a hint. So they were going to look at the no follow and they were going to decide whether it was going to be a follow or not, which means that you can get into a whole other set of problems. So it's just best to do sponsored. That would be my suggestion.
So just want to clarify and define. So if we're putting sponsored, it's if you can be compensated, whether it's a product or an affiliate, or you've been paid to put together a recipe.
Yep. Or you get a product, anything where you would have benefited from it.
Okay. Perfect.
In a material way.
Yes. And I know my people were waiting for me to ask that because I know that's I see it all the time and it's coming up inside my Pitch Perfect Pro group. And I'm like, oh, we're going to get to this. We're going to make sure we answer this. And that will be an update that, of course, moving forward has to be made. But I'm glad that you said not to worry about going back and fixing.
No, that is not a good use of your time. And Google said, don't even worry about it. So don't. So the only place you're going to put no follow now is that if you are linking to a site that it's got some good information on it that you want to share with your reader, but you're not real sure if it's a trustworthy site or whatever, you would put in no follow. And I'm quoting the site, but I am in no way aligning myself with it.
Okay. Nope. That makes total sense. All right. Well, Marye, I appreciate you so much taking the time today. And this was such a helpful conversation. And I think it's things that we can easily implement. It's not things that's jargon and, needing to spend a ton of time. It's little things that we can make such a huge difference.
Yeah. Just one really quick, because Google did come out with a thing and they said that the two, when you do a search, your site can only come up for two things that are similar. And I've had a lot of questions about that. I want to make sure that we address it. So I'll do it really quick. In the past, you used to go into your search console and see what you were ranking for as far as keywords. So if you ranked for fried potatoes and you had a post that the keyword was fried potatoes, then maybe you would do another post that said pan fried potatoes. Well, now Google's saying that's too close. Don't do that. We're only going to rank you for one of those two. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is each post is very different. Okay. So now instead of doing pot roast and slow cooker pot roast, I would do pot roast, and then I would have slow cooker instructions on the same recipe.
Okay. Go back to the potatoes for me. So if I did pan fried potatoes,
yes,
and then I did homemade mashed potatoes,
that's fine because that's a different process and it's got different ingredients.
Perfect.
if you're going to do fried potatoes and then pan-fried potatoes, and the only difference is that you shredded one and you cut one into squares and you added a different herb or spice, then no, don't do it.
Okay. That's so helpful. This is the kind of stuff that you are amazing at, is clarifying by giving us an example of what it should and shouldn't look like, and just putting it into terms that we can understand instead of saying this loop-de-loo ways of tech speak. So I appreciate you so much for taking the time for jumping on.
Fun to talk to you.
Yes. No, you guys need to make sure that you hop over to the show notes. Make sure you grab Mary's freebie. We are going to want to make sure that we put E.A.T into place on our sites and our content so that it really can stand out as that authority and move up.
If anybody tags me in anything in Mastering Your Influence, I'm in there. I'm in probably all your sites, so I'll be happy to answer any questions too.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. All right. Well, there you have it. I really couldn't have asked Google to help us with the whole AI presentation any better than what had happened in that episode. So as you heard in the episode, there's tons of different ways that you can find a way to become an expert. And one of the things that you heard in there was making sure that you get reviews. So I'm going to ask you guys to help me out with that, because as you leave reviews on my podcast within iTunes, within Spotify, wherever it is that you're leaving a review on your favorite podcasting app, it helps so much for new people to be able to find me, but also for Google to see me as an expert. So I would so appreciate it if you took the time to leave me a quick review. Make sure that when you do leave your review, leave me your Instagram handle as your name, because I love to send personal video messages thanking people for leaving a review. I also want to make sure that if you haven't heard yet, there is a Jenny Melrose app now, so that you can actually get all of your information in one place. We give you the podcast, we give you additional audio not heard anywhere else, and you're also going to be hearing about all the latest that's coming up for my conference here in Charlotte in April of 2020, which if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, you're going to want to make sure that you do that. So I appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, I will see you all then.